Everybody, Amanda Olson, Master Mom here, and welcome to the first live Master Mom broadcast. Hopefully all the technology is working. That's not really my strong suit. Kids and families are. So I'm looking forward to just having some time to talk to everybody tonight. I've got a lot of great questions already, and you can use the live chat if you like to send questions in, and I'll do my best to answer them. It is just me, so if I don't get them answered tonight, then we can certainly reach out to you and answer them as soon as I can. As people are logging on and everything, I did want to let people know that if you subscribe to the channel, or if you've already subscribed to my YouTube channel, you do get a copy of my first book, Create a Happy and Harmonious Home. And all you got to do is just stop by the studio, Olson's Martial Arts Academy, and I'll get that for you. Or if you're not in the area, make sure you message me, reach out, let me know what your address is, and I will send you one. If you already have that book, exciting news, my second book is coming out very soon. I actually got to see the cover today for the first time, so I was really excited about that. I'm really happy with everything they did. So once I approved the cover, which I did, then they can start getting that printed. So if you would like the second book, let me know too, and I'll have those at the studio here in a couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. So one of the main things I wanted to address tonight, talk about, was what I talked about on Daytime Tri-Cities on Tuesday, because I do get a lot of questions or comments, just people letting off steam, everything about when you're working and are you spending enough time with your kids, some of the things, are you doing enough for them, that sort of thing. So I wanted to take a little time to talk about that to start with. And if your questions don't pertain to that, if you want to send them in on the live chat, that's okay. We can talk about those things too. So I'll just start talking about that unless you guys let me know you would like to talk about something else. So the first thing is a lot of people feel like if they're having to put their kids in an after-school program or a summer program, things like that, they're wondering, is this really the best thing? Is this okay for my kids? And the answer really is sometimes you don't have a choice, okay? And the other thing is every family's different. What is right for your family isn't necessarily what's right for every family. And what you have to do as a parent is just have the confidence that you are at this moment doing the very best thing for your family that you can do. And the time that you do get to spend with them, that you are doing the best job that you can, making good family time, making it quality time, not necessarily quantity time. As I mentioned on the show the other day, I have done all of it. I've stayed home with my kids. I've worked because I've had to go to work, and I have worked because I wanted to, and found a career that I loved. And sometimes, being that it was my own business, I was able to take my kids along with me. Oftentimes I got a sitter. Sometimes I took them to daycare. It was just kind of whatever needed to be done at the time for me to be able to work, pursue a career, get things done. So my kids are both, my son just turned 30, my daughter's 27, and both got married last year. And I was talking to them about this, and they had kind of the same response that I had, growing up, is that it was just what we did as a family. This is what mom did. This is what dad did. This is what, we were supposed to do. But we always looked forward to those special set aside times for your family. And that's the thing that I think is the most important. I never felt neglected as a kid, even though my parents worked sometimes 2 jobs. And I was in after school programs. I remember being in summer programs. And they were fun. I made lots of friends. We did lots of field trips. We went to different places to, watch a movie or swim or bowl or play goofy golf, different things like that. We also just stayed in the gym or the classroom and played games and ran around and had a good time. So, your child is probably just having a great time wherever they are. Obviously, if something's going wrong and you can tell that your child's unhappy, you might need to take a change. But for the most part, you know, they're doing just fine. And that dinner time with you, or sitting around watching TV or playing a game or anything like that, is something that they're really going to remember and they're really going to enjoy. And it's those times when you can just sit down, give them a hug, say, hey, how was your day? What was the best part of your day? And they get a chance to tell you. Those are the times they're going to remember. I know when I was talking to my kids about this, uh, as I mentioned, they had kind of the same response I did. And it was, our families did our thing. We were very busy, very active. Like I said, both my parents worked, and for a lot of the time, both me and my husband worked. We're still working. But it was that on Friday night we do this as a family, or on Saturday afternoon we do this as a family. Whatever that special time is for you, it was something that I, as a child, really looked forward to. And my kids just kind of mentioned the same thing. Yeah, I really looked forward to that. Every Tuesday night there was a show on TV, and the kids were saying, that was the night that you allowed us to stay up late and we could all watch that show together as a family. And they were little kids then, elementary school age, and they just remember that was really cool that we got to stay up late on that night and watch that show. So set some times that are special aside. Say, okay, this is a special family time, and this is what we do at this special family time. And your kids will know that, when they're in school or after school programs or wherever you have them while you're working, they've got that to really look forward to, and they really, really do. And the big thing is, it's not so much the activity that they look forward to as it is spending time with you. So it doesn't have to be a big, huge, elaborate activity. Ours was, as the kids got to be teenagers, it was on Sunday nights. We set that side of time. I set that time aside, and I was just like, okay, do your thing, with your friends, do all that stuff. But Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, that's family time. We're going to covet that time, and that's when we're going to have dinner. And even now, still, we have on Sunday afternoons, as much as possible, the kids come over. We have a great dinner. Everybody really enjoys cooking a nice big dinner together. And then and we play games, or sometimes we just sit around and talk and catch up. Or if the weather's nice, we like sitting in the backyard and letting the dogs play, things like that. And hopefully it won't be too long before we're watching little kids play. I don't mind saying I'm looking forward to being a grandparent, and those will be some good times too. But I think for the most part, as I mentioned on the show, on daytime, we start feeling guilty because we listen to other people's opinions. We listen to what other people might be talking about, or what they say they're doing for their family, or anything that, oh, you should spend this much time, or you should, that's too much time, that's not enough time, this is the most important time. All of those things that people say just don't help you at all. They don't help you at all. So just wanted to mention that out there. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have anything to do with what's right for your family. If they want to set that schedule for themselves, they can do that and have a great time with their family, but it doesn't have to have anything to do with you. All right, so just something to think about there. Let's see, I'm just checking some messages here. Okay, so one of the questions is, and people are messaging me too on Messenger and Facebook, not necessarily just right on the YouTube channel. But one of the things, the question was, what do you do when some people try to impose that guilt on you? When they try to tell you you're doing it wrong? You need to be doing it this way, as far as raising your family or spending time with them, or you shouldn't work so much. Don't you care about your family? And those are things I definitely experienced, when I was raising my kids. I had, in fact, I remember a very specific time, where somebody went to my husband and said, "Don't you care about your kids? You're always working. Shouldn't you spend more time with them?" And that's something I remember as a young parent. And of course, it was very upsetting. And I think people feel like their way is the best way, and they try to justify for them what is the most important. So they want to impose that on you. I think that you, as a parent, you love your child, you care about your child, you know what's best for them, and don't let all of those things that other people say about how you should be raising your children affect you, even if they're people close to you. You know, doesn't mean you have to get in an argument about it or a fight about it, or you can very kindly say, I appreciate that you're concerned. I appreciate you caring about me. I am doing the things that I feel best, that are best for my family, and just let it stop at that. You know, um, it's 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 difficult sometimes to kind of hold your tongue. It's difficult. It's very difficult to not want to become defensive or fight back, but just to remain neutral. That's a huge thing, and I think all of us work on that. I mean, the best thing for us to do in a conflict situation is to try to remain neutral. Does that always happen? No. But it's not something that, when we lose our cool or lash out, it's not something that we're always proud of. We wish we could have handled things a little bit better. But as much as you can, when people come up and start telling you how you should be raising your children or what they think you're doing wrong, just let it roll off your back. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that has to take care of your child. And you're the one that has to answer to your child. And you do know what's best for them. So for parents, I just want you to make sure that you have confidence in yourself. We talk a lot about building confidence in our kids, but what I want to make sure parents understand is that when you feel in your heart that this is the best you can do or the right thing to do, trust that. That's your gut. I mean, your instincts are there for a reason. Those senses of this is the right thing for my family, and have confidence in it. And then once you've made that decision, then own that decision and move forward. You really don't have to explain yourself to anybody. I know sometimes we feel like we do, but you don't have to. And some people you might want to caringly, that are close to you in your life, explain to them why you've made the choices that you have, and hope that they'll find, at least accept your choices, even if they don't maybe agree with them. But people that are just throwing out their opinion because that's just the kind of person they are, just let it roll off. Just let it roll off. You know what's best for your child. So the guilt part is where, we feel guilty because of what other people are telling us we should be doing, how we should be doing it. And you should just take that, and as much as you can, just work on letting that go. You're not guilty. You're working, you're providing for your family, or you're working because it fulfills something in you. I mean, if you're working, if you don't have to work and you're choosing to work, that's because you have a need, or you have a skill, or you have a passion, something that you've got to give back to the community, something that you've got to do, or you just enjoy your job. It makes you happy. Or you would like to have nicer things. So having more money, having a second paycheck or another paycheck in your family is something that is important to you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people make you feel like there's something wrong with wanting a career for yourself when you have kids. But I can tell you that if you're a parent and you're unfulfilled and you're unhappy or dissatisfied, it's not going to be your best parenting. if you're happy and um, things are moving forward in your life the way you want, you're challenged, you're social, you're making friends or making a difference with a career or job that you have, something you've always wanted to do, uh, all you're going to be teaching your child is that, hey, when there's something in the world you want to do, go for it, do it. That's what you're teaching your child. And if you choose to stay home, and like I said, I chose to stay home for many years. Um, and that's the right thing for your family at that time. It's just, you shouldn't feel guilty for that either. Like, oh, you should be out, working, you should be out making money, or you should be doing this, or you should be doing that. Well, then they can go ahead and do all that. You're doing what you feel is right at the time for your family. And that's really kind of the point of tonight's conversation. So if anybody has anything to add or any questions to add to the guilt, whether you choose to stay home or whether you choose to go to work, um, let me know if you have anything to add to that. I know just recently it came to my attention that coffee mugs are noticed in my post and different things like that. So I have a coffee cup that I'm drinking out of tonight. It's probably backwards on your screen, but it says, "Surely not everybody was kung fu fighting." And I just thought this was kind of funny. It's actually my husband's cup. He got a gift from one of the staff members at the Olson's martial arts at the Taekwondo school for Christmas. So it's actually his cup, but I thought it was funny and I thought I would share that. Um, Maybe each week I can share a different coffee mug because everybody knows my husband and I really enjoy drinking coffee, and so we get a lot of fun mugs, and that's nice too. But well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. One of the questions I had was, if you are, whatever your choices are to work outside the home, work inside the home. Is there like a set amount of time you should be spending with your child? For child development, you need this many hours a week, or make sure you're spending, this quality time in the morning before school. And I don't think you need to live your life, at least this is my opinion. I don't think you need to live your life that regimented, like, oh, I've got to spend 30 more minutes with him reading, or, it's not going to be best for his development. It's, again, let's go back to the quality of the time that you spend with your child, not the quantity. I remember summertime growing up as a kid. I went to weekend summer camps. I went to week-long summer camps. I went and spent time with relatives. When I was older, I could stay home all day until my parents got off work, or when I was younger, it was the school childcare program, so I still went to the same school, but we were in the gym most of the time, stuff like that. And it was fun. I just remember that. And I also worked in childcare for many years. When I was in high school, I started working at a preschool. Of course, I also taught Taekwondo at my dad's and my mom's martial arts facility in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. So I spent a lot of time with kids, and I worked in childcare up through, as far as for pay, up till my daughter was born. And then I've done a lot of volunteer work in churches with childcare, children of all ages, from infants through high schoolers. I just really enjoy working with young people. But in those situations, I could see the angst in the parents' faces when they would, at 6:30 in the morning, they're dropping their 3-year-old off at the preschool, and I was there to greet them, and I could just tell how they just felt like, am I doing the right thing, and even for the kids that kind of cry and hang on to their parent and don't, they just the kid themselves is piling on the guilt for you. It was just a couple of minutes after the parent left that the child was playing with a toy, playing with a friend, reading a book, getting ready for circle time or, juice, things like that, and just having fun. And of course, they looked forward to seeing their parents when they came back to pick them up in the afternoon or early evening. But they were fine all day long, and I saw that year after year after year, parent after parent after parent. And if I had been more experienced in working with people at that time, I was quite a bit younger, I would have done more to let the parent know that their child was fine, that their child was fine, that they were doing a great job, that they shouldn't worry about them, they shouldn't have any, working parent guilt, anything like that. And even in volunteering in elementary schools and things like that, it's the same thing. They, of course, they love you. Of course, they want to, be with you. And especially when they're little, they're not really sure what's going to happen, and they start building that trust, and day after day after day. And after about 2 weeks, most kids that are having a struggle with that separation anxiety really do adjust. At least that's been my experience in working with children in daycare and in early developmental, kindergarten, preschool, things like that. So as far as that goes, and it's not just a one day thing that I had experience with. It was a number of years. And even now in the Taekwondo school, when students, little guys come in, and I mean, there's people in karate uniforms, and they look 10 feet tall to a 4-year-old, and all the kids are yelling, and it's a very different environment. Of course, some kids are going to be a little bit nervous, and now I know that really what I need to be talking to is the parents and letting them know that they can relax, that this is normal behavior. If we're all patient and positive and we just give it time, that they're going to get over that, and they're going to build confidence that way. And it may be that every time they start something new, they go through that a little bit, but it gets better and better. It gets easier and easier. And, that's what I hope. One thing that you get out of this is that if you do leave your child, whether it's with a nanny, whether it's with a babysitter, whether it's in some sort of after school or childcare or preschool or church daycare, whatever it is, a friend's house, they are going to be fine. They are not going to be sitting in the corner crying the whole time that you're gone. They're gonna relax. They're gonna have some fun. They're gonna find something to do. And if you ever have a question about that, certainly ask the person who's taking care of your child. How do they do after I leave? And when they tell you, oh, they're fine, it takes them about 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, and then they're fine. Believe them, right? Because why would they want you to feel bad about that? Why would they, want you to worry even more? But they, just trust them that your child is doing okay. And then when they run up to see you, when you pick them up, it's not because they've been sitting in the corner moping all day, just crying for you. It's because they're genuinely glad to see you. My personal situation with my own kids, bye, mom. It was like, we're going to be fine. We'll see you later. And, you'd come to pick them up, and half the time they'd run and give you a hug, glad to see you. And the other half is like, oh, it's time to leave already. So I knew that they were having a good time, and but that was my kids. And I know every kid is different. And, they may be fine the first week, and then the second week you bring them, all of a sudden there's tears and they're not sure what's going on. It's just kind of something that I know a lot I worry about, but trust me, the kids get over that very quickly, and they're going to be fine. I have a family right now that I've been talking to for a long time, and she's a single mom, and she has been working full time. She also has been going to school. She's been going to nursing school. And you talk about a tight schedule. I mean, she is just, she's trying to make a better life for herself and for her child. And she has to work. She has to provide for her child, and at the same time that she's going to school. So she does have she has some family help that can help her, but she's reliant on a lot of other people to help her with raising her child, and I just really commend her on that. And it's amazing to me because I'll see her studying. I know she's just worked all day, and then I see her studying, and while her child's in the taekwondo class, and then I know she's got a late night, and try to keep track on how she's doing with her grades and moving forward. And I know she's tired, but she's committed. And that commitment is a lot of love right there. And her son's going to know that. And he's always happy to see her, and I can see that. And, they have a really good relationship. And he's a little young to know the sacrifices she's making right now. But as he gets older, he'll understand that. And what will happen is he'll be proud of her, and he'll be grateful for her. And, that's where she needs to focus on. And if you're in that situation, focus on all the things that you're doing for your child, that is going to make their life better. I know that every parent wants their child to have a better life than they did. I mean, that's just, I think that's just in us to provide and to care for and to nurture and supply our children with, just the confidence to fly and do the things that they want to do with even more confidence than maybe we had as kids, and as young adults. And going to school and working full time, as a single parent, I really think that shows so much commitment to your child, and wanting a better life for them. So if you find yourself in that situation too, just remember, I'm doing this for my child, for their future, and have confidence in that, and know that you cannot be doing the wrong thing if you're doing that. And you may have a few years of sacrifice of, what you feel is sacrifice of your time, but it's going to pay off in the long run. And the thing to really remember about sacrifice is no matter what your choices are, a lot of times you're gonna have to sacrifice something. If you are making the choice to stay at home, there's going to be some sacrifices that you're making, whether they're personal or financial. If you choose to work outside the home, there might be some things that you're sacrificing as far as time, or maybe rest, if you're working a whole lot. And sometimes you don't have a choice. So you got to do the best you can with whatever choice you have. Sometimes you'd like to be working, but you find yourself at home. Sometimes you'd like to be home and you find yourself working, but you just do the best. Everybody really, I think, is trying to do the best they can. What I'm concerned with is while you're trying to do the best you can, you feel guilty about it. Because that's the thing that I really want to hit home with tonight, is that if you have your family's best interests in mind, you're going to choose the right thing. And don't let anybody else make you feel guilty or, question what you're doing. It's your life. It's your life. It's your choices. It's your family. So once you make a decision, just have confidence in that and own that. And also remember too that the people around you are just doing the best that they can also. And the more we can support each other as parents, I remember one time when I had my first child, my son, and he was just an infant, and I was young and I was tired. He didn't really enjoy sleeping. So therefore I wasn't sleeping. and getting behind in the housework, and the laundry's piling up and the dishes, because you're just trying to hold this little guy and keep him from crying and keep him fed and try not to lose your sanity for a little bit. And I was home, and a friend stopped by, and she was really more of just an acquaintance, not a real close friend, just somebody that I knew. And she was just stopping by to check on me. And she stopped by the house, and I let her in, and she could tell I was done. I was just so tired. And she said, I tell you what, she goes, why don't you go sit down on the couch with Keith? That's what it was, with Keith. And I'm just going to take care of your kitchen for you. And at first I didn't want to accept that help, and she said, and she did. She was a mom. She had 3 kids at the time. And so she had a lot more experience than I did. And she said, just go sit down and relax. So I took her up on it, and I did. I went and sat on the couch with Keith, and, was holding him, and she was in my kitchen, and, she was cleaning. And by the time she was done cleaning the kitchen, Keith was fast asleep. So I could go lay him in his crib, and I could get some rest. And I just remember that moment, and that was literally 30 years ago. And I thought, that's what we need to do as parents and as families, is just support each other and help each other. When you see a need, fill a need. That's one of the things I really try to teach the people that work at Olson's Martial Arts: see a need, fill a need. And this was a lady that, was doing that 30 years ago. And it really made an impression on me. And it was one day out of all the days that, you are with your baby. But after that day, I understood, I learned what it meant to just let it go and relax. Because once I relaxed and sat down on the couch, Keith relaxed and he went to sleep, and then I could rest. But before she got there, I was just kind of in this state of exhaustion and anxiousness. And I always think of her as my angel. God sent me an angel that day, just to help me out. And it really helped me out for the rest of my life, actually, from that point on. So if you have an opportunity, if you see a parent struggling, try to make sure you're the one that is their angel that day. You're the one that's helping them out. You're the one that's going to make a difference and an impression, like this lady did on me 30 years later, to be able to tell that story. I also, I'm going to be closing up here in about a minute and a half. I'll just mention one more thing. I got, I got sidetracked, didn't I? But I remember getting some advice from somebody who had been around longer than I had as a parent. And they told me, when your child is acting up in public, or you're trying to get them, and I see this every day, because parents bring kids into the martial arts school, and they want their child to be, hi, how are you? And make eye contact with this adult and shake their hand and be friendly. And a lot of times they're hanging onto their leg with their face down, in their parent's leg, and the parents start to get embarrassed. But, there's no need to get embarrassed. Your child is not the only one doing that. And 2, they're going to learn how to not do that. Eventually, just like they all get potty trained, they're all going to learn not to hang on to your leg. But the advice they gave me is, if you do have that moment where you're feeling a little embarrassed, to just honestly look at the other person and say, this is something that we're working on. Thanks for your patience. And that particular line has, been something that's been helpful for me. Just, when I was raising my kids when they were little, and they would have a moment, where they were not acting perfect, which was often, just to look at the adult that you're with and say, we are working on this. Thank you for your patience. So I've passed that along to a lot of folks. I pass it along to you guys today. Again, it's just one of those things where it can kind of relieve some of that stress for you. It can relieve, if you feel guilty that your child's not making eye contact and shaking hands with your friend or your boss or whoever, you can you can use that line. Thanks for your patience. This is something that we're working on. And that, I'm telling you, is something every parent understands. You know, every parent understands they're working on something with their child. It may be not always something out in public. You know, I was talking to a family recently, and their child's doing really good in a lot of things except doing what they're asked the first time. You know, so that's not something maybe that the whole world sees, but at home they understand we're working on that. You know, so that's something that you can say to kind of save face a little bit for yourself and bring some understanding to the situation. No need to get embarrassed. You know, babies cry in the grocery store. They just do. You know, I mean, I remember my daughter. She was like this perfect little angel, um, compared to Keith as a baby. I mean, she slept through the night in the hospital the first night she was born, and I was like, "What's wrong with her?" But she was fine. And the first time I remember her really crying and just giving that whole little tantrum and everything was at her christening, at an infant in front of the whole church, you know. And I did, as a young mom, I was just like, really? Right now? This is when you're going to realize you have a voice and can cry and scream? So it happens to everybody, and no one's exempt. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, be prepared with your line. Yes, we're working on that, or whatever, because it will happen. But I think as long as we're all patient with each other too, and helpful as parents, like I said, be somebody's angel. We can make the world a better place. We can make it better for ourselves. We can make it better for our kids. Please reach out to me. You can reach out to me on Facebook, on my Facebook page. You can message me. I look at it every day. Also, you can email me at amanda@askmastermom.com. So if you want to email me again, that's amanda@askmastermom.com. And you can also check me out on YouTube. There's a lot of videos from the TV shows. Like, the one reason I wanted to do this live was because the TV show and the radio show on Friday mornings, I love that. You know, it gives a little quick moment, a little tip. But in this forum, we can discuss it a little bit further, and it's interactive. You guys can ask questions. So I appreciate the questions that you asked today and the comments. Again, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll make sure you get a book. You can either stop by and see me at the Academy, or if you're not here in Johnson City, Tennessee, please let me know your address, and I will send you a book for free for subscribing to the YouTube channel. You guys are the ones, you know, you guys that are watching tonight and checking in. You're the ones that are helping me make a difference. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys sharing and inviting others to watch tonight too. So you guys have a great evening, and this is Master Mom Amanda Olson checking out. And don't feel guilty. You're doing a great job.